The At Your End Step podcast is brought to you by ComicTown. Check them out at www.comictown.net and search for ComicTown Gaming Center on Facebook. Hello, and welcome to At Your End Step. My name is Morgan, and I'm here with Mike.
Hi.
And Dave.
Hello.
And we have another fun-filled episode for you guys today. So, of course, there was some tournaments happened over the weekend, and some interesting things changing in the rules for those tournaments that we want to talk about in the community segment, as well as we had the Cube Invitation over the weekend, so we wanted to talk about that just a little bit, as well as some new MTGO stuff. And then, obviously, the tournaments, we'll dive into that. And then we have the Pro Tour coming up, so we're going to have a Going to Turn segment where we get to wager our opinions about a few certain things that are going on then. And then we'll kind of wrap everything up and talk about the things going on this weekend other than the Pro Tour. So first, let's go into the community topics. So like I said, there were some rule changes that happened that affected the tournaments over the weekend. They actually changed how registering your sealed pools are going to happen going forward, which is pretty interesting. Basically, the procedure will go as follows. And when I first read this, I had to read it like a few times just to kind of get like an understanding of what's actually going on. But basically, each player will get your 6 booster packs. The boosters will be marked in a way that distinguishes that they came from the tournament organizer for that event, which is interesting. It's an interesting statement because I don't know how.
Yeah, what does that even mean?
Yeah, what does that even mean? That is a good question, Dave. I'm glad you asked that. I don't know. I guess I'll have to go to a seal tournament at some point in time and figure that out. He's got like, oh, this one's got bubblegum in the back of it.
You get it like a sticker.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just like bubblegum from like cards from the 80s.
Yeah.
It's just like a hard piece of chalk, basically.
Oh, it's just turned into dust. Oh no.
That's very flavorful for the set.
yeah, that's true. Fair enough. And then once that happens, players on one side of each table open their boosters. Player A, which is how they distinguish them. The player directly across from them, which is player B, observes this. Both players will observe and verify the contents of those boosters, and the process will. After this process, the open cards are stacked face down in a single pile and placed near player B, and then player B opens their boosters. Player A observes. Both players will observe and verify the contents. After this process, player B stacks his cards face down in a single pile and places them near player A. And then player A will register the contents of player B's pool, and then vice versa. So player B registers the contents of players A pool. Gosh, darn it.
April?
I don't know what I'm talking about anymore.
I'm
a bit exhausted.
Let's simplify. You no longer will register a pool and then pass it and get a different pool. You're going to register the pool you play, and you're going to help the person across you register the pool that they play. No more passing. At least for this block, is what they said. However, I feel like this seems like something they would keep doing because like it reduces the feel bads. Like look at the events like the Modern Masters GPs, where half the people like take a pool, they think it's valuable enough not to play, and they just drop from the event, which is really against the spirit of competition. Like we would go back to like, the whole taking a foil Tarmogoyf thing. Like this is the same idea. Obviously, they instituted it for this set because of expeditions.
Oh, for sure.
So that way you are less likely to drop and take expeditions. So I like this a lot. It seems pretty simple. I do feel like you could be really creepy if you wanted to be. Like, it says you observe that player, so, like, I'm just going to kick back in my chair and, like, pick my belly button while they're doing this. It's like, make sure you register all damn cards.
Why you gotta make it weird?
I mean, it says observe. When you're a kid and you're in elementary school and they teach you about, like, good touch, and that's, like, a hug, but bad touch is, like, all, like, it'd be, like, good observe, bad observe. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I feel like it's weird.
I don't think anybody was taking it there.
I thought it was weird. But I don't like the idea of, like, somebody's like, observe them. Like, it's an odd thing to say. Just, like, watch them. Watch them while they do this thing. Report on it while you watch them.
Do they have to stay in their own seat, or can they observe you from like across the room?
I hope they have to stay in their own seat. Then it gets worse. Like, how you doing?
Are you trying to make it some
just, like,
weird
back,
rear
like,
window situation going on? Jeez.
Just like breathing on your neck, just like, that pool looks pretty good.
You'll probably do really well with it.
Proud of you.
But no, that's good. I think that's fine. I don't think anyone really likes passing, a sweet sealed pool, and getting past a really bad sealed pool. Cause...
that's kind of like the Magic Origins PPTQ that we played in.
Oh yeah,
you got my terrible pool and I got your good pool.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
we both lost.
I lost in the finals. So.
I lost.
I still lost. But...
I lost earlier, so I got to leave.
Yeah, I think that's that's an interesting point though, because like people always table talk in these things too. So like where a bad one's coming. Like okay, please don't pass. Like that guy got a planeswalker. I want that. Okay, we need to go across once and to the left twice. Please don't just go left 3 times. I don't want that guy's pool. Oh please God, don't do it. No.
The judges will slow roll it too. They're like, hold up your deck. And pass it.
I don't know. I don't know what it doesn't. The whole like how much time they give for this. Like I think it's interesting though that like it ostensibly could take less time, right? Like you both registered, then you don't have to worry about the passing. You don't have to do the whole verify again situation. So that seems nice. I do think it's interesting. They also said that seating has to be randomized now. Because if I go to an event with Jordan Kennedy or Brian Keller, we tend to sit next to each other or across from each other all the time. So there definitely would be reasons so you get randomized. It makes a lot of sense.
Right. So that's an interesting change, and I don't know when the next time I'm going to be playing in a. Well, I mean, there could be a next time that I play in a sealed tournament. Potentially, Empire Cards, excuse me. Has team trios, and that's technically a sealed tournament. So potentially that would be the next time I would probably have a chance to do that. Potentially, if I could find 2 other people to go with me to that. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But that's coming up here soon. So and those are always fun because team trios, you never get to do that. So
before we move off of that, so Mike, you said like you don't know if they're going to keep this or not, or like. I don't see why you would go back.
It literally says the procedures for opening. Today we're announcing an update to sealed pool registration procedures for Battle to Zendikar block.
Oh, okay.
So that's what they said. I assume this will stick around.
Yeah, I mean, the way that they worded that, it's almost like, I guess they want to see how it goes, but I don't see why you would go back, especially when you know that they're going to keep printing Modern Master sets and things like that, and you're going to run into the situation again at some point. Unless this is just completely horrible, or like there's some loophole that we're not thinking of,
right? And that they're not.
I guess they're leaving themselves that out, but
as Wizards typically does, so they're like, we're just going to do this for this one time, and if it works out, hey, it works out. But if it's a total mess, we only did it once.
No, this should be fine. I think it's a good change. So,
all right, and then we also have leagues changing. From Standard over to Modern. So if you play Magic Online, you can now join Modern leagues and play in those. And I heard that the only thing that people have still continued issues with is payout for the leagues, but people really like playing a lot of Magic matches competitively and quickly. And that seems to be facilitating that. So good on Wizards, and hopefully they can take a look at prize payouts in the future for leagues, and maybe that'll change. But I think it people are enjoying the time at which they can play many matches of Magic, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Do you think it's weird timing, because it feels like people would maybe want to play more Standard now than Modern, since we've just had a rotation and there's not really any. I guess we have a GP for Modern.
Look at you, such a downer. The conspiracy theorists would go, they just released Battle for Zendikar. They probably, like usual, don't have all the bugs, fixed on it yet. So let's have them play less Standard cards in a high-profile event, just for a little while.
Maybe.
That's the nihilist in me, the one that says that it doesn't matter what they do. MTGO will always be terrible.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean,
Also,
I prefer to play Modern leagues myself, but for the overall Magic playing population, I feel like Standard would be a better call, especially right now.
No, I feel like I will be partaking of a league.
Yeah, just test it out. I'm probably playing, getting Standard out there. Not a lot of people necessarily have
the new cards. Yeah, that's fair.
And also, you have to take into account that when this league's been going on for a little bit of time, so maybe like they didn't actually. It'd be kind of weird. It's like standard on Magic Online is like in a weird spot because like you have old standard for longer. So I think old standard was still around when this was launched. Maybe I don't know. Anyway, it may not have been, but who cares? It's modern now. Get over it. So that's almost it for community, but we had a big local community event that happened, which was the Cube Invitational. We have a 2-time champion and a back-to-back champion in Mike. Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm a gracious victor.
David and I obviously participated, but did not do as well, unfortunately, for us.
I wasn't going to go deep into that, but we'll just say I drafted the worst deck of all time in the first draft and never quite recovered from that.
I've seen a lot of bad decks, but I gotta say, Dave drafted the worst deck all time. All time.
So I'm going to make a suggestion for next year. We should do a booby prize for last place, and it should be like an embarrassment.
Oh, like the Sacco?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, which is kind of funny because like when the final standings were printed, I was not actually in last. Like I was, 3 spots up on breakers, and then like, oh wait, no, we messed this up. Hold on, let me redo it. Oh no, yeah, I'm last. Cool.
Sorry, Dave.
I was not last. I was first. As the old saying goes, if you're not first, you're last anyways. So everyone else was last compared to me.
I was 7th, but it wasn't a deserved 7th. I got like a bye, and it just like, yeah.
And then my wife conceded to you.
Yeah.
After pounding you.
Why do you have to say it like that? It was.
You said she crushed you.
Yeah, it was bad.
She beat me too. It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Runs in the family.
So
You're not. Okay, that doesn't make any sense. And it did. If it did, that would be gross.
yeah, that's
We only allow champions in this marriage.
Oh, okay.
How's that sound?
gotcha.
How's
Yeah,
that
so it was awkward because we had 15 people, so we had an 8-person pod and a 7-person pod. So obviously the 7-person pod would have a bye. So I was in the 8-person pod in the first draft, and then the second draft I was in the 7-person pod, and basically I would have gotten the bye since I was 0-3. And then we drafted, and then somebody had to leave. So then we had 6 people in the pod, and then I was able to not get the bye and then continue to lose. So it was good. It was it was like the rub-ins on top of rub-ins. So
It was fun. It was a good time, and we now Mike gets to make a new card, and we get to see it, so that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, definitely. So I drafted my favorite archetype twice. I got to draft red blue tempo, like heavy red aggression with some bounce spells, and went 2-1 with that deck, and then went 1-1 in Rochester, which drew with another person who's in the top 6 after we were going to game 3, and we ended up just drawn. Keep playing it safe.
yeah, I'm calling shenanigans on that. By the
Yeah,
way.
I meant to bring that up. I was
Yeah.
thinking about it later, and there should have been no draws. No draws in the Cube
except for
Invitational.
like we drew, and then like you guys took our decks away, and we were able to start the event like 20 minutes. The next thing 20 minutes earlier. So
Yeah.
you actually benefited from that, and actively asked us to not. Like, we were asked not to play the last game after we decided to draw. So if it's something you're against, like if you would have said no, we don't want you to do that, I think it wouldn't have been an issue.
Yeah.
But you guys definitely weren't.
We all just
upset
forgot.
about it.
We all just
it?
forgot. I swear to God, and like I always forgot. I was like, oh, aren't there not supposed to be like? That's why it's the top 6, so there's no draws.
And then the Rochester was like 4-color, like mid-range good stuff. And like I got to play against Morgan, who tutelaged me out one of the games.
I did. It was great. That card's gross.
Morgan had the old tutelage
Sylvan Library.
Sylvan Library combo.
Plus
yeah.
Lord Looter Ilcor and Merfolk Looter. I was drawing a lot of cards.
Yeah, so the cool thing with Sylvan Library, it definitely says draw 3 cards and then put the cards back.
Yeah.
So, that's interesting. But then drafted blue-white tempo in the top 6, and I definitely got the best deck at the table, like overall. So played really close matches up until the finals, which Keller's deck was not great.
Keller was in a deck, and then he got kind of cut off and never really recovered. So it wasn't a competitive finals. We'll just put it that way.
It was best of 5, and it was
Over in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
So-
it was.
But it's cool. Last year I designed a blue-red like tempo card because that's the deck I like, and I'm trying to do a little bit different this year. I get a second piece of Klugart, which is really cool. So I don't know. It was a nice Saturday.
You could like make a card that's kind of like a morphling, right? So then the art could be like a back to back.
Kobe will mention that.
Yeah. That would be sweet, actually.
We'll see about that one, I suppose.
But yeah, it was a pretty good weekend. Pretty good pretty good way to spend a Saturday. So now we're done with that. Let's go ahead and move into the competitive segment.
Now we're going to talk about real tournaments.
Yeah, real limited tournaments.
Dave would not be making that statement had he won the Invitational.
Oh, correct.
Hey.
But he didn't. It hasn't for like years.
Oh yeah, it's been a while. See, well, no, I hate to go back on this, but I tried to draft like a fun deck, and it just, yeah. Like after I drafted, I'm like, I'm not gonna win a game. I don't know.
Why did I try
green white can't win a game?
why did I go fun?
Yeah.
Shouldn't have gone fun.
This is not the time.
All right. So over the weekend there were a couple of GPs. There was one in Sydney and one in Madison. We're gonna go ahead and start off with Sydney. It was taken down by John Seaton.
Can we put that in?
That's funny. That is genuinely funny.
I came up with that when I was typing the name out. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to do this.
Good. I'm proud of you. Yeah, I mean that was pretty cool. It was pretty cool to they did a little segment of people also opening stamped expeditions, which is yeah, I mean, sure, I'd like to open a stamped expedition.
It kind of blew my mind when I saw the little article. Like, what's more rare than an expedition? Stamped expeditions. I was like, oh god, I didn't even think about that. So it's kind of cool they left them in because they normally pull foils, but like for just like the stamped card like Goyf and stuff like in Modern Masters, like the card's so rare, like you don't want to take the value away from the players. So you get some pretty like unique artifacts out of this.
Yeah.
And then we have some top 5 cards from this GP.
Let's talk about them both combined because I think it's a statement about the format.
I guess that makes sense.
Can I just talk about the guy that was the 5 seed in Sydney? Chester Swords, probably.
Oh yeah,
the sweetest name ever.
Oh man, I definitely I would like to be a member of the Swords family.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if he's
that
looking.
like a. I don't know.
I don't.
Sort of body and mind, or like, are you more of a fire and ice kind of guy? Or?
I don't know. You
War and Peace.
I may have to edit this out, but he could have been a bastard, and then he had bastard swords.
Wow, he was like openly insulted this Australian guy.
But it's funny. I said he could have been.
Wow.
It's a funny joke.
It is a funny joke.
It's an armory joke.
So not all your jokes are funny. It's almost like feast or famine with you.
Yeah, I know. Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, well then let's move on to Madison then, and
GP Ashley Madison, which is what the hashtag was.
Yeah, well, okay, that's what BBD's hashtag was.
That's what I saw the most of.
Well,
what
then.
did he say on Twitter? Like something like his pool's gonna be so good it's gonna feel like cheating.
And it was taken down by Raphael Levy, and this is his 5th GP win, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, 5th win,
number 5.
Many top 8s. So
for sure. Looking at the other top 8 competitors, we have who's that? Paul Rietzel, looks like. Sam Pardee.
Magnus Lanto.
I couldn't remember his first name.
And
it's written there.
Jeremy Dezani showing back up again.
Wow.
It's like he took a year off and he's like, you know what? I'm going to start winning again. So now's a good time. We're starting fresh.
When you get ejected from, didn't he get like DQ'd from a
yes, he did.
From something?
Yeah.
So maybe that gives you time to reevaluate. It's like when you get ejected from the game, and you're like, just put me in, coach. Just one more game. I can do it.
He's turning over a new leaf.
You call it like Dezani's the Uncle Rico of the Pro Tour.
I could throw that football over those mountains. but I could please seal deck over those mountains.
So we were talking about the top 5 cards. So I thought it was interesting. Like honestly, like coverage wise, like the format again, sealed GPs. There's a reason that the Open had like 5 times as many viewers as either GP all weekend. You know what I mean?
I will say I didn't watch much coverage this weekend. But from what I did, I actually watched this GP over SCG because I was just not interested in any of the decks that they had.
Oh, that's fair.
Showing for standard.
We'll talk about that in a second, though.
Yeah.
There's a reason for that, I think. But it was interesting talking about this. So if you don't have premium, I will say there was a good article today that really sort of enlightened me about how the format was working, and that was by Drew Levin, who... What was it, Drew Levin? Oh, no, I'm sorry. It might not be Drew Levin. Hold on a second. Now I feel bad.
We got to confirm.
I think it's actually Pro Tour winner, and I can't remember his name now. Ari Lax. Sorry, Lax. My bad. Anyways.
Not to be confused.
Well...
with Drew Levin.
Anyways, yeah, sorry, Lax, my bad. But it was really interesting him talking about like how he thought like certain cards were really good. Like he had all this like mana fixing and like one of the rampant growth spells, and he had like the Coastal Discovery, which is the draw 2 cards, and Awaken. And then he realized how bad these cards were. It was talking about how the format is like everybody has so many things to do with their mana. Like the decks like lend themselves well to curves, and people are playing 18 lands and still having business spells all the time, so like you don't have a lot of time to cast cards. He was talking about how like the mind rot effects are more powerful than the draw 2 effects in this format, which is interesting. So then if you look at the top 5 cards for both events, most of them are really like tempo-y. Like you have like Blister Pod, you have Outnumber, you have Clutch the Current, like spells that you can like sequence and play like more than one spell in a turn. They fit into your curve well, and they can lead to some big blowouts. And I thought that was really interesting because, like, it's telling you how this format goes. Like, everyone's going to play their fatties, and if you can interact and cast, like, if you're the player who gets to cast 2 spells in a turn earlier than your opponent, then you're probably way ahead. So I thought that was really interesting, taking a look at those, those top 5 cards from both events.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you see cards like Blighted Fen and like Grip of Desolation, which are unique and powerful, removal spells. You get to play Blighted Fen for potentially free in your deck, and it comes relevant late game, making something die. And then Grip of Desolation is it has been a powerhouse of a removal spell in the summoned format, and normally these effects are really good, but putting it at instant speed is pretty brutal, especially when you have Awaken in the format.
Yeah, it seemed like from what little I did see, and I can't really say a whole lot from personal experience because I haven't played this format yet. But just from watching, it seemed like it's definitely a slower format. You definitely have time to kind of develop your board. But like you said, like that's kind of the feeling that I got from watching some of the games where like people are just playing something every turn, and it's like if you fall behind, like if you miss a land drop or two, it seems like hard to come back.
Oh yeah, like missing land drops is like this is definitely like very close to like Dragonstar Hero was mostly an 18 land format, and I think like this is like even like higher percentage of 18. Like I played my first draft of this format, I played what I thought was a fairly aggressively curved deck, and I still like wanted 18 lands just based on how it worked. So you mentioned the Grip as well. Grip is also impressive because when you have lands like Blighted Fen that are also spells, being able to kill a creature and then possibly like essentially like discard a spell essentially, right?
Yeah.
Like it's pretty gross. So
and when you have people trying to splash,
God.
be greedy. Yeah,
that happened. I think it was the finals. I think it might have been Madison. I have to check. But one of them though was essentially like that. That's why that card was in the top 5 anyways. It's because like, oh, you don't have green mana anymore.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty good.
Oops, sorry.
Also, something to note: Eldrazi Sky Spawner, probably just one of the, if not the best common in the format.
And again, a 2-for-1 at 3 mana that makes a flyer. It's a 2/1 flyer that makes an Eldrazi Scion.
Yeah,
it's essentially this is the same card that they've made 3 times now, but this is the first time that's the one that gets flying. Because before you had Sandstep Outcast, which is a 2/1 that made a Spirit token, and then you had
Gearper. Gear Crafter.
That's it. The one that made
the
a
red
1/1
yeah.
Thopter token. So this is the one this is the first one that's a flyer. So like for the same mana you cast those other spells, you get a 2/1 flyer and a 1/1 that also can ramp your mana. Like nice. It's like, oh, so this is just disgusting. Oh, okay, good. Oh, and your 3 drops a 2-for-1. I like it when my 3 drops a 2-for-1.
Hey, and all those cards are in standard right now. Just make that deck.
I mean, in blue in draft, you can literally go like the 2/1 flyer that makes a 1/1 into the 4 drop that makes a 1/1 into your 6 and 7 drops.
Yeah.
Oh,
that seems good.
So
I wouldn't kick it out of bed.
Okay, sounds good to me.
But I mean, we had a lot of high caliber people in Madison getting prepared
it's almost
for
like the Pro Tours next week.
Yeah, it's weird, right?
In that state.
Well, yeah. Well, this week, right? Yeah.
Oh wait, no, Wisconsin. Yeah, Wisconsin. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
So definitely was a tournament to watch if you really kind of wanted to get a good look at the format and the limited format that is. So I'm sure it was pretty cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, especially with it being in Madison too. A lot of the really good American limited players are from that area.
Mm-hmm.
Just historically and even currently, think Sam Black's crew.
Yeah. Justin Cohen.
Justin Cohen. Mm-hmm. Stephen Neal, is that he top 8 the last one?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, he's from that area. So a lot of players, and a lot of players that you not necessarily seeing showing up, in Pro Tour top 8s, but just guys that are well respected in the community, and guys that are valuable to their testing teams as kind of the limited experts. So yeah, this was definitely a really interesting weekend for that. I'm actually more interested in limited than I have been in a long time from a coverage standpoint. Like I'm interested to see what happens at the Pro Tour. I usually don't watch the limited rounds. I'll just watch the constructed, but I'm actually probably going to watch everything this weekend. So
yeah, I'll definitely watch what I can, but I think unfortunately I'm going to be a bit tied up with other stuff to do, and of course, it makes me sad.
We do have a wedding of a friend to go to. So.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like someone getting married Super Bowl weekend. Like, come on, come on.
You can always do what I do, just catch up. You can go back and watch the coverage.
Nah,
after the fact.
I live only in the moment. So
yeah.
I do it for the podcast.
Really?
Mostly.
Really? Dave, before this cast,
really.
guys, I haven't prepared for this at all.
Yeah.
I do it for the cast.
It's fine. Come on, let's continue. Let's go talk about a boring tournament that happened in Atlanta. So there was also a Star City Games tournament over the weekend in Atlanta, obviously, and
ready for my Hotlanta hot take?
Sure.
Boring.
Yeah, it was, and it's not like this is surprising necessarily. We don't have we don't have people out there trying to break the format. We have people that are either already testing in the Pro Tour, not in this tournament, or people just trying to play low key Magic, try to play decks that are still competitive, but not necessarily warping anything because you don't want to break any tech before the Pro Tour. So if anyone had any cool tech, it wasn't here. This just seemed like more of the same from last week.
It seems like there's less Abzan than there was
for sure. Yeah, if you look at the day 2 metagame breakdown, it's distinctly a lot less Abzan.
Yeah, but I mean, just looking at the top 32 list here, it's if you weren't playing Green White Megamorph or Jeskai Black or Tarka Red, then
probably didn't have
a good time.
Probably didn't have a good time.
I think it's. I hate to just agree with what you said, Morgan, but I think I do. That no one's trying to break the format. It makes me sad that not all these people going to Atlanta are going to the Pro Tour. You know what I mean? Yeah, there's a large number of people at the top of these tables who are either going to the Pro Tour or are working with people going to the Pro Tour, so that makes sense. But I will say, I think the one thing holding people back is I think they're waiting for Pro Tour mana bases. That's actually my guess. Is that people are afraid of we saw Jeskai Black mana bases last week. Let's mimic that. You know what I mean? Or we saw decks with really safe mana bases. Let's play that.
Yeah.
So I think maybe once we get some good looks at some really really good well built team mana bases, maybe that'll be the thing that finally kicks us back into gear. Because there was only 3 copies of Bring to Light in day 2. I mean it doesn't seem like people were doing very much, which is really sad because there's so much. If you look at all the 1-of decks, though, there's definitely things you could be playing. There's multiple versions of Aristocrats. Mm-hmm. There's a couple versions of Ascendancy going around. There's things you could be doing.
Right.
So,
I mean, you even have 9th place all Entrosy playing 5-color control with no Bring to Lights.
That deck was sweet.
Playing Dig Through Times. So you definitely see that there are people pushing.
And he played that's a whole different deck from the whole different deck that he played last week.
Yeah, for sure.
Follow this man.
Yeah, he's always got good stuff for you. But yeah, we do see a lot of Jeskai Black and a lot of Green White Megamorph, and clearly they must be good decks. I don't doubt that, but I am interested to see if there is something out there that is yet to be shown that will happen this weekend at the Pro Tour.
I mean, something lurking under the surface.
Potentially, yes. I don't know where you're going with this.
It's ready to break out.
Yeah. I don't.
Cool.
I don't know what that was about.
Eldrazi's maybe.
Oh,
something.
Are you making a Kozilek reference?
No, just in general, right? Weren't all the Eldrazi's kind of
making a Dark Death reference?
Kozilek, just below the surface, feeding on your planet, playing.
He definitely plays mind games with you.
I definitely think it's one thing that's interesting. Like, so we hope that like more things will come out of here. I will say there's definitely a way to look at this and go, uh-oh, if you wanted to. I'm not ready to go there.
Yeah.
I'm not ready to go there. But the uh-oh is the best decks in the room are either playing Den Protector or Jace, and that's it. Like,
I'm not ready to panic yet.
I'm not either. But like every deck in the world is trying to play Jace. Like the deck that the deck I have pulled up based on a guy I know through Facebook. He won a PPTQ with a crazy dragons list, and this list is like, oh man, like Thunderbreak Regions and Crackling Dooms and Ojatais and Jace.
Yep.
And you can do this because of Jace, and Jace doesn't die. So are we going to be stuck in the cycle with Jace until Oath brings us removal? And can we actually count on Oath to bring us removal? I don't want to go there yet. I don't want to be worried.
Yeah.
Pro Tour save me.
Just put it this way. I'm not worried yet. But if we see all the same lists at the Pro Tour, I'm not going to like this format very much.
Now, I will say one interesting thing. This top 8, while a little bland, no rhinoceroses.
Yeah, no Rhino. Rhino-less top 8.
When was the last time we saw that?
I don't know, actually.
Like over
it's
a
probably
year?
been a long time.
Like, since before cons?
I mean,
I
potentially.
wouldn't surprise me, actually.
We have to do
I-
some heavy research
I wish
that we
someone-
don't get paid for,
Hey,
so
can
we
some-
probably won't
yeah.
do it.
Can
We
someone
need
just
to
go ahead and
hire
do
a
the math
research
for us?
guy.
Just go ahead and do that for us. It'd be appreciative. Just go
Just
ahead.
tweet it back at us at your end step, at symbol your end step. We'll appreciate it. We'll give you a shout
Yeah,
out.
we'll give you a shout out next week.
We
yeah.
will retweet it.
Yeah, favorite it.
We're just too lazy to look
Yeah.
it up. So
You know, we know you come here for hard hitting facts and news.
Well, I don't know how hard that fact is. I think we all know that it's really shocking that Rhino was in the top 8. So, and there's only 11 abs and aggro decks. Now, granted, there's a couple other like offshoots of like blue abzan, red abzan, etc. But so if abzan aggro is tier 0, then Jeskai Black is definitely like tier 0.5, and then hopefully the Pro Tour brings us tier 1. So
Hopefully,
let's
we'll see.
let's see. So we do have some notable names in the top 8 though.
Yep. We have Todd Anderson and Tom Ross.
Todd Anderson, who said his deck is unplayable.
Yep, correct. After the tournament, Tom Ross said that Bat Megamorph was good against the rest of the field, but bad against just straight green-white Megamorph due to them being more streamlined.
That makes sense. You don't really have a lot of targets for something that your cards you're trying to get people with. Like you're not Stratus dancing much against them, and you're not even hitting very much with Dragon Hunter, or Dragon Slayer. I should say.
hitting Dragon
so
Slayer.
like which were sort of the spicy things that Bant was the Bant deck was doing. So, congrats to Jacob Lively though,
Yep,
winning the green-white Megamorph mirror in the finals.
correct.
Dear Lord.
I mean, it's not as bad as like the green-white devotion mirrors. At the very least, they want to kill each other, not just gain a bunch of life. I think maybe.
Yeah, I don't know. I do think it's really interesting. If you ever wonder, you can think what you want about Todd Anderson, like for whatever reason, but the man says his deck was terrible. Dave even said one of the camera matches he did see the weekend, like Todd Anderson cast like no spells and died, and then he lost in the top 4 here. So like you played a bad deck. It says he played a bad deck and he beat all of you.
Yeah.
well, I mean, it may have just been his specific list. He is playing kind of some weird numbers.
Yeah, but he still played it
Yeah.
successfully. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like
Correct.
it takes the same thing with Jerry Thompson. Said the same thing after winning with we're doing really well with Bring to Light. I'm not going to play this deck again like for the Pro Tour. So like I think it takes a really good player to look to assess that and just say, you know what, I did okay with this deck. Doesn't mean it's very good. So it's just interesting.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I mean, I if the format devolves into just Mantis Raiders and Crackling Dooms, I think I'll be fine. I'll play those. I'll play those cards.
I mean, sure, but like, so the issue with that, like, even like playing abs and aggro against each other over and over again, like we tried to break the mirror a little bit, but it really comes down to who wins the die roll and who has the first command, like Jarok's command. You know what I mean? And if you're playing just a bunch of Mantis Riders in Crackling Dooms, then it's like whose Mantis Rider comes in first and gets the, you know what I mean? Like that doesn't seem like exciting magic. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. So. I said you have some sparks here. I said the 5-color control list is really spicy. That's 9th place all Andrazi. I hate to skip all these top 8 lists, but it's all Jeskai Black and Green Megamorph. I don't know what to tell you.
Like the most restricting one is probably the Jeskai Dragons list, and that just probably contains more dragons and draconic roars.
I mean, which is not bad. I mean, like if everyone decides that they all want to play Jace or they all want to play like Den Protector, then like you want to have a way to interact with them. So like that makes a lot of sense. But I definitely will say Ali Andrazi's list is playing 4 Catacomb Sifter, which I know Patrick Chapin identified as a card that he thought was insane in this format. And it's interesting because like he's playing like Dragonlord Atarka, Dragonlord Jamoka, like having that 1/1/1 sitting there, like not only do you get 2 bodies, but like the ability to just like play a turn 5 Jamoka is I don't know, like I lost many times at FNM this last week to Dragonlord Jamoka. I was a sad panda. Jamoka came in and punched me in the mouth multiple times, and like if they got to cast it a turn earlier, that makes me even more sad. So he also was playing 4 Radiant Flames, so like this is a deck that was really, really ready for Atarka Red. Just like, go ahead, guys, let's do this. So it was interesting, just a different idea of how you could build and play in this format. So and reminding everyone that Atarka's still here. Atarka's here.
How many times do you think he lived like the dream and got to Radiant Flames for 1 to kill a bunch of tokens but keep his Jace alive?
Oh my god. See, I think the one thing that you don't even have to do there, though, is like half the time, like when you're going to cast Radiant Flames, you're just going to flip your Jace.
That's true too.
Like that's sort of the interaction with those cards. It's just like, oh, like flip my Jace. Like now it's not a creature. Radiant Flames.
Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, man. It's great. It's great. I like this. I can get behind this. This is sweet.
This format definitely is like in my mind, like some of the things this format does do, and like the way that Jace interacts, like all these fetches and the lands, like this doesn't feel like a normal standard format to me. Like it may end up becoming really derivative, but like these standard decks are doing some things that you're just like, that's not what standard does, right? Like
it seems like it's like modern mana bases with like just less powerful cards.
Yeah, it's
like,
really
I guess,
weird.
I don't know.
So, but hopefully, so the Pro Tour hopefully will shake off all the dust.
Yeah. Get people's blood flowing. Make them get motivated to play some weird stuff. I'd be excited. I'm excited to see what happens.
For some reason, I'm just thinking of, if you've ever seen Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog, like one of the backup singers, just like, we play the weird stuff.
Oh, man. So we also had a couple of IQs. We had Modern, which is won by Zen Said, playing red-green aggro. Now, Mike, you're familiar with this deck.
I'm a big fan of this deck. He opted to cut the white splash, which was for kitties, and so Wild Noctills, and then like some number of Path to Exiles and Lightning Helixes. So
he is playing Nakatl, actually.
Oh, he is playing Nakatl still.
Yeah, but he's not.
Okay, but he's not playing any white spells.
Right.
My bad. I'm sorry. I marked it down and I forgot. Sad times. But he's like definitely trying to go harder green, so you can play like Strangleroot, which is a sweet card. I will say the one awkward thing here, and it says he beat Red Green Tron, so I'd be interested to see how that goes. Like, I remember like literally having to play like DeGlamour, like to try and like not lose to Wormcoil Legend. So like having Path to Exile seems like it'd be pretty good. He's playing a lot of Molten Rains and Destructive Revelries out of the board. I do think the most interesting thing about his list is he's playing 2 Dryad Arbors, which I think is really like interesting because like, so I've said before that like that deck, if you draw 1 to 2 more lands in consecutive turns, and you like, it can just crush you. So essentially, he's making sure that if he does flood sometimes, that flood is still become a 1/1. That's not that impressive, but it is at least interesting that it's a way for the deck to sort of fight against its own flood while also playing sort of secretly more mana. Because like I said before, 18 lands feels dangerous when you run this deck. So he's got 20, but 2 of them are also creatures. The awkward thing though is that Dryad Arbor can't cast anything like on that first turn. So it's a really weird dichotomy to me. I don't really know. I really don't know how I feel about this list. I'd be willing to test it, and obviously it's the kind of deck that if you have not played against it in a while, it'll just crush you.
Yeah, I mean, if you take a look at it, I mean, it defeated Jund in the finals, and Jund is like, oh, you're playing creature deck, cool. Look at all these removal spells I have. But that deck definitely can just be like, I don't care.
We tested that matchup a lot. This is a while ago in the format, but like when Keller was trying out Jund, so we could just like play it back and forth. I think he was playing Black Green at that point, and I was just like, always like, okay, killed a bunch of guys, and they're just like, wait, do you have a Core Clan Rampager? Like, oh yeah, I do. Oh, well, I can't win then.
I think Stringer guys must go a long way in that matchup. It's just.
Oh yeah, like well, so it's interesting that like even Dryad Arbor then, like if you're playing against Liliana, is just like, okay, well,
just leave a fetch up.
Yeah, just like, okay, well, I'm going to sack this 1/1 instead. Like, you didn't get anything. So it's definitely interesting. Instead of Tarka's Command is really just like, it's really the card that's like given this deck new life. We've seen it twice now, and both times it's been 4 of Tarka's Command. That card is just disgusting.
Yep, I agree.
So it's almost like he wanted to take a standard deck and play it in Modern.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
And I'm saying that, and I know it sounds backwards, but I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think you're wrong. And then we also had Legacy, of course, and it was won by Caleb Shearer.
Sure.
And he was playing some Storm. That's pretty awesome. He defeated Rudy Brizga playing Charlotte Sultai too. I know that's Rudy, one of Rudy's favorite decks, one of Mike's favorite decks, of course. So I can't imagine that being a very. It's interesting, right? With the Sultai deck, like you don't. I think I've seen or heard that matchup a lot, and it can go like pretty 50-50 a lot of the time. Like, I mean, you have to have your discard.
It comes down to like how many Thoughtseize / Inquisitions you draw. Like there's definitely a lot of hands of that deck where you can just draw a bunch of Tarmogoyfs and then like they can just go off and you're not doing much. And that deck tends to I have to go look real quick at his list, but that deck tends to be one of the ones that like people will cheat with and cut like a force or two.
He was only playing 3 forces.
Yeah, so like oh he has the fourth one on the board, but like even like game 1 though, like only playing 3 force in the main, like you're a lot less likely to have it when they go off game 1. So like It's definitely like one of those awkward things where like you have draws where like if you just go like Thoughtseize into him and then have Force of Will, like you have that kind of draw, then like you probably were never losing to Storm ever. But like if you just have the draw that's just like a Baleful Strix and like a Jace and like an Abrupt Decay, you're just like, well, I'm not interacting with you. So and just like any deck like this, like even with Brainstorm, it's definitely a deck that has 2 halves of a deck and you can draw the wrong half.
Also, important to note that Jace Rinse Prodigy shows up in Rudy's deck list. Same amount of Jaces as Jace the Mind Sculptor. Fun fact.
Yeah. I do want to point out that Caleb Shearer is kind of he's an SCG grinder. He's at a lot of the events, and he's a Storm player. He's a Storm master. He always plays Storm in Legacy and in Modern. Like he's still playing Storm in Modern, even though I don't think it's very good. But he is stuck to his guns, and he's still runs it. So I'm not surprised to see him take down the IQ.
I mean, yeah, definitely, especially these these IQ events where like there's not as many people. Like I think that Storm is like one of those kind of decks that can benefit from that because you can just sort of like take a tournament and just be like, all right, well, I know how to play this deck better than you know how to play against this deck. So,
what sweet Magic Origins card shows up in Caleb's list?
Give me a second. I'm working. I bet it's Dark Petition.
Yeah, like, it is Dark Petition. That's great. I'm excited about that. That's pretty sweet. I mean, if you're going to play it in a deck, it might as well be Storm, right?
I mean, like, you think about that card with, like, Cabal Ritual, and then, like, you're trying to, play, like, Past in Flames. Like, Cabal Ritual makes, conveniently 5 black mana.
That's weird.
And then you get to play this Dark Petition that now gets a spell. It's like draw any card in your deck, add Dark Ritual. Oh, okay. So that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, awesome. That's awesome. That's great. You know, normally we don't talk a lot about Legacy, but hey, Dark Petition, man, good for you, showing up somewhere. I'm proud. I'm proud.
Now, before we leave the IQs, this is something that we skipped over.
I literally forgot about this.
Bonus community topic.
Yeah.
Let's just throw it in here.
That's a daily double sound, by the way, because you're getting all the value.
Let me get it pulled up here.
I have it here. So Star City updated their in-store program. Like they had a whole update to it. Like most of it's like, hey, what we're doing with game night. Hey, we're discontinuing open trials because that makes some sense. IQs don't have open points anymore.
Wait, what?
What? Oh,
yeah, that's a big one for sure.
There have been a couple of people who have been very outspoken about this in correlation with like the benefits that come from having a lot of points, both the Players' Championship, but also like the buy levels, where you've had a lot of like, especially this has been really popular in the New York area, I know, but like, hey, my FNM is also an IQ. Hey, Tuesday Night Standard, also an IQ, right? And then like you win your 8-person IQ and you get a bunch of points, and the people who are open grinders actually have a less chance of getting points than you do. Awkward. So they have eliminated this. They've eliminated a couple types of IQs, right? They eliminated the hold on here. Is it the elite IQs? They got rid of those. So essentially, it's IQs, Super IQs, and Premiers.
Right.
So, but the really interesting about this, like for the Open Series itself, for the Point Series, for the Players Championship, this is probably a good thing because it's going to make that race more pure. The people you see on camera on Saturdays and Sundays are the people who are going to be in the Players Championship. That makes sense.
Yeah, the people that this hurts the most are going to be, like you said, a lot of the New York people. So people like Kevin Jones, who's currently number 1 on the leaderboard. By a lot. And he does show up to he shows up to his fair share of opens, and he does well usually, but he has gotten a lot of his points from a lot of the IQs, I guess, locally in his area, and also playing in the modern or legacy IQs as well. And that's all well and good, but I don't know, I could see it both ways. Like, yes, the Players' Championship is going to be more pure because you're going to see the people that are actually playing in the Opens, but then you're kind of closing off this whole avenue that somebody could have to get to that point.
Right. So that's the flip side to this. So now it's going to be So we've had invitationals growing large. Like they keep getting record invitationals. Well, those numbers are definitely going to go down because the only people getting invites are going to be the people who win the IQs.
And people that do well at Opens.
Sure. I mean that point system still in place.
Yeah. So, it was fun going to a bunch of invitationals with you guys, but may not be able to attend that many more. Got to figure out how to play Magic and spike a tournament.
Yeah, I'm lucky enough to still be queued for all the ones next year, but after that, might get a little dicey. We'll see.
I mean, I'm queued for next year as well, but I've won a couple IQs in the last couple months, anyways. Like I don't know how to word that. Winning IQs hasn't been that difficult for me.
Yeah,
and I don't mean that in any sort of negative way. I don't.
No,
I
know.
Like, if I talk about my back-to-back wins at the Cube Invitational, I mean that with all cockiness and arrogance. Take that, everybody. But like, I understand that it's difficult, and like, it could easily just be a flip of a coin where I'm not winning those IQs. You know what I mean? Like, that's how these matchups tend to work sometimes. So,
but you don't want to flip coins to determine matches.
Obviously. So I think I think there's a lot of people who are going to get shut out of the Invitational. To be fair, though, I think that it's part of what Star City wants, right? Like, the Invitational doesn't make them money. Like, the IQs certainly do, but the Invitational itself does not make them money. So, like, making that feel a little bit more special, a little bit more closed off again. Like, you still have your regular open weekend. When they do the Invitational, they get to put the best of the best people on camera still. They get to reduce the number a little bit of those. It's probably a really solid move.
Yeah, I'd like to see how some of these players are going to react. Another player that gets a lot of points from the IQs is Jim Davis. Now he's locked in for the Players Championship this year, so I'm assuming he hasn't been playing in as many because he really doesn't have any reason to for this year. But he's someone that he'll go to the Northeast ones, but he doesn't really travel to all the other ones. He's not like let's say a Joe Lissette, who you see he'll travel all over the place, or like any of the Roanoke guys that will go to any of them. So it'll be interesting to see how like some of these players that you see kind of at the top of the leaderboard that have gotten all their points, are they going to start traveling, or are they going to feel that it's worth it to do that? So we'll see how it goes moving forward. But yeah, that's definitely a big impact to the Open Series, and their championship. So.
No, I mean for sure. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting. Dave's freaking out because the Cardinals just scored on Jake Arrieta, which has not happened in a really long time. So, go Cubs. Anyways, so yeah, this is interesting. Sorry I missed that in the intro. You're absolutely right about this, but this will be a drastic change going forward. I know the states that we'll talk about at the wrap up here this weekend are still under the old system. So if you're a person who was like, oh man, I need to try and get some points to the qualification to get on the train, you should probably consider playing in the events that are still going to give out points.
Yep.
Because this is starting in 2016, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
So you still got a little bit of time left this year to sneak on in. So it'll be interesting.
All right. Well, that's everything for competitive and the last bit of community news. So let's go ahead and go into going to turns. So this is going to be going to turns Pro Tour Battle for Zendikar Edition, and it'll be between Mike and I. Dave's going to be the moderator, as he said. Again, as we reiterate, he did not prepare at all for the show today. It's
Well,
all right. None of us really did.
Hey.
Like, we just show up and talk about Magic.
Well, you got to cut me a little slack because we normally record on Tuesday, so I usually use Monday to kind of get prepared a little bit, maybe watch some of the things that I missed over the weekend.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
but
we even recorded
on
like
Monday,
early
so,
in the day on a Monday.
Yeah.
Like, you had no time.
Hey, but all you people listening get the benefit of getting the cast a day early.
Yeah.
So
I'm committed to putting it out there early.
yeah,
Thank you.
I just screwed Morgan a little bit, but
No, it's fine.
now-
I was going to do it anyway.
now if they get it late, they're gonna blame you.
Yeah, they will.
So all right,
Not going to blame you, jerk.
So it's been a while since we've done going to turns.
Yeah, for sure.
So for those not familiar with this segment, did you already say this? I don't know. We do 5 questions.
No, I didn't say this.
All right, so we have
Are
five.
you
We
here?
have a 5-pack of questions regarding Pro Tour Battle for Zendikar. And Mike and Morgan are going to give their response, and I'm going to award points for the best response or best argument or however I feel like awarding points.
So I get to go first because I'm the Q champ, right?
Yeah,
disputed.
sure.
I guess so.
That's what I thought.
Yeah, we didn't really figure that out, but sure.
Oh, I just did.
You got it.
Congratulations.
All right. And you have 20 seconds to answer the question. So, first question up is, what card that has seen a lot of play in the first 2 weeks of Standard will not see much play this weekend? And go.
I think that's going to be Bring to Light. I know LFC will probably bring some sweet build with it, but I just feel like that card might end up being like too cute. We've already seen how Dig Through Time probably does better things in those decks that could be playing Bring to Light. So I definitely think that's a card that has gotten a lot of hype, but for Standard may not really fit the bill perfectly like people have hoped.
All right. I don't know why it didn't ding, 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 but
It's cool. I got done.
it ran out.
I was right. It's fine.
All right. Morgan, you have 20 seconds. Go.
I think that a card that has been seeing a ton of play as of late, but will not likely see a lot of play at the Pro Tour. In all honesty, will probably be Siege Rhino, and that's a bold claim, I know, but hear me out. I think that there's
Ding, ding, ding.
Wow.
We're not going to get to hear you out.
Took forever to answer, and then just like
I didn't win that one, guys. In case you didn't know.
Yeah. I'm going to go with Mike.
No, that's fine, because I didn't get to back up my claim, and I said something insane. So you're welcome.
You did the classic, I'm going to restate the question for the entirety of my time.
Yeah, you're welcome. That's a hard one. It's hard to say, like, what's not going to see to play when you say the thing that's definitely not going to see play at the Pro Tour, Mike. I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
All right. Well, at least I get to stop. At least I get to go again.
All right, guys. I fixed the bell. We had to call in, somebody to weld it a little bit. But
Sure.
It's in working condition.
It's
now.
definitely not a tone that plays through a phone, guys.
No,
it's an actual
no.
boxing bell we
Yeah.
own. Anyway.
But anyway, so all right. So question 2. So Morgan, you're first on this one.
Correct.
Second question is, what card that hasn't seen play in the first 2 weeks is primed for a big weekend?
Well, I haven't seen a lot of play, right? Same sort of difference. Right. I think Scatter to the Winds. I think that Control is going to try to come back, and I think that it's definitely one of the premier counter spells in the format. So I predict that people are going to kind of figure out what the right mix is to play, and it'll be seeing play in those kind of decks.
I feel like Scatter the Wind's seen plenty of play, but I don't know. What do I know? I don't know.
I mean, it wasn't in this week's top 8.
I guess.
I haven't seen a ton of it.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Anyway, Mike, you're up.
I think a card that's primed for a little bit of a comeback is Dragonlord Silumgar. I think a lot of these decks are getting like even more mid-rangey. There's Planeswalkers everywhere, including this Gideon guy who has a really easy way to kill himself if you take him with a Dragonlord Silumgar. So I definitely think like that's a card that may see some more play is primed to do well.
That's okay. So both good answers. I feel like it's tough to pick a winner because I feel like they both go in the same deck. So if one does well, then the other one's probably going to do well.
Fair enough. We both win.
I'll give you both half a point.
Yeah, both have a point.
1.5. All right.
I'm opening it up here for the tie. Just so you know.
Tiebreaker's sweet.
It's always has to,
Everyone loves the
the
tiebreaker
tiebreaker's
anyway.
sweet. So
The tiebreaker is really hard now because it's like a random card in standard in this standard. Oh
It could be
god,
literally anything.
jeez.
Villainous wealth, anybody?
I don't think Ali Andrazi's qualified for this Pro Tour. He would probably be the one to play that. All right, moving on to question 3 here, and this one is back to Mike. Question 3. Will a tuned version of a successful deck win the tournament? So basically a deck that we've already seen the first couple of weeks. Or do you think there'll be a new archetype that takes it down?
Boring answer here. I think it's going to be a tuned version of a deck. I'm not sure what that tuned deck is. If I had to guess, I think it's going to be some sort of Esper Dragons control list. We have our aggro deck identified with landfall off to the side, and really the mid-range decks, they can play anything they want, but they're really getting to the same end game. So I think tuned.
All right. And Morgan, same question.
I really would want to say like a new deck's going to come out of nowhere, and we're going to have like a mono blue devotion sort of sweep that happens where no one predicts this deck's coming, and it does. But it's going to be a tune list. There's a huge wealth of possibility, but I feel like something like green white or Jeskai will come in and just wreck the tournament.
All right. I tend to agree with you guys, but I hope I'm wrong. I think I'm going to go with Mike here just because he gave a specific deck that he thought.
Sure. No, that makes sense. I didn't have any specificity.
2.5. I have as many points as there are men on TV.
Our bell got a notification. That's weird.
Yeah, somebody like that. I don't know. All right. Question 4. This one's back to Morgan again. All right, so if you had to pick one player to win the tournament, who would it be?
So I'm gonna be weird. I'm actually gonna go with the unknown player. I'm gonna go. I think that someone that is unknown is going to win this Pro Tour. I feel like we've tried to pick people who are going to win it, and has not been close. And it has always been these people that are not very very well known. So I'm gonna go with the unknown player. That's who's gonna win this Pro Tour.
You pulling somebody from the ether.
Yes, correct.
Take down
a mystery fighter.
A new challenger.
Oh man.
All right, Mike, go ahead.
So I think if I was going to pick one person, now I said just picking a person who could win, I think it's Jerry Thompson. I feel like that guy's got an interesting grasp on the format. He played something outlandish week 1, did really well with it, and then said, you know what, this isn't even that good. I'm not going to play it again. I think he has shown that he's already got a grasp for how this format works, and I think his tech will be good.
All right. It's been a long time since we've had a random person win a Pro Tour, but they generally happens at modern Pro Tours, I feel like.
I don't know. I feel like
Sean McLaren wasn't really a well-known household name.
I don't know, like Martin Dang. But I mean,
yeah.
Martin Dang was not as well known. He's definitely more well known now that he won a Pro Tour, but I wouldn't say that I knew who he was right off top of my head. Sean McLaren was definitely an unknown for sure.
And then Antonio Del Moral Leon.
Oh yeah, Del Moral Leon. Yeah, was definitely out there. So Ari Lax was the last one where we had a brand new format, and he won that one.
All right.
After cons, so I don't know. I just feel like it's a crapshoot. I don't think anyone that has been that is currently queued for the Pro Tour is making waves. Like you could say Efro might be the closest thing, or Paul Rietzel, because they had a good limited tournament this weekend. Same with Sam Pardee, but it's it's not like those guys are breaking serve and standard or doing anything like that. Jerry Thompson was a pretty good answer.
Or
honestly.
Jerry knows the format.
But again, was Jerry Thompson playing limited this weekend though?
He was busy breaking the format.
Yeah, I think he was. I think
He's
he was
in the
too
lab.
busy. I think he was too busy, making them hot sick beats.
Sure, but again, Pro Tour is definitely a diverse
How long
format.
does he get to defend his point?
Yeah, I want this to be a tie because I want to go with the tiebreaker, but
That's too bad.
I can't go with an unknown person.
Yeah,
that's not even really an answer.
Well,
but I understand your point, but I do think Jerry T, though he is usually better at known formats, not new formats, generally. But I do think that Jerry has a lot to prove. He is kind of fighting for, like, he's not really on the train anymore. I think this is his last spot. So
He's at the caboose, as it were.
Wow. He's hanging onto the edge of the caboose with one hand. Wizards there smashing his fingers.
Yeah. So he's trying to get back on the train. So I do think that he would have a better shot than an unknown person to take it down. But who really knows?
That's my point. Who really knows?
Thank you, Dave. You made my point 10 minutes later. Who really knows?
All right. Well, I'm still giving it to Mike.
No, it's fine.
But we can still go to the tiebreakers for funsies.
I don't think so.
Right.
I think I won.
Yeah, tiebreakers shouldn't be abused.
Yeah, let's be fun. Let's do fun.
No.
Give the people what they want.
No, we have a fun last question.
It's just you.
Yeah, give me what I want. All right. Last question. This will go to Mike. Which side of the battle for Zendikar is more likely to make a splash this weekend? So, Allies or Eldrazi?
I think it's the Eldrazi. I definitely think you're more likely to see an Ulamog eating somebody on camera than you are to see like a Lantern Scout poking people over 3. I don't know if they're going to win in the actual Battle for Zendikar itself because that's a bad narrative for Wizards. But I think in camera matches, it's going to be Eldrazi just blowing them away.
All right, Morgan, what do you think?
I feel like Mike gave me this one. The Allies are never going to win, just for the sheer fact they have this card called Gideon, Ally of Zendikar, who makes ally tokens, and is one of the best cards in the format. So hands down, Allies are going to take it down because Gideon's a house, and he knows how to deal with people.
Gideon's a planeswalker.
He's also a house.
Jeez.
All right, yeah, Morgan.
All right, fair enough.
You get that one.
That's all right.
Though,
I appreciate it. You threw me a bone.
Though if somebody said that Ulamog was an underplayed card that would be seen at this Pro Tour, I would probably have given you the point. But
see, I'm on the opposite end though. I don't think he has seen very much play or will see very much play. Aww. I think if a mythic Eldrazi is going to see play, it's going to be Oblivion Sower. In all honesty, I think that card has one of the most powerful cast triggers and can do some really gross things, especially if you do have an ingest deck, and there is that deck that exists.
Yeah,
so
why not both?
Why not both?
I mean, I tend to agree with that because I think Oblivion Sower isn't so the payoff for Ulamog is one card that it kills 2 permanents but can be killed, but then instead play Master of the Unseen and then play your Sower that gets to just fuel your gigantic oh cool, I get to make 3 of these a turn. How do I ever lose?
Right.
Oh, I decked myself.
Yeah, and then you have people potentially playing loose mana bases that only have certain numbers of certain colors, and then you could potentially, maybe this is Magical Christmas Land we're treading into, but you can potentially, color screw your opponent out of the game.
Or you do cool things like I did on day 1 at last week, which was 2 weeks ago now. Sorry, where it's I played a bunch of fetches and Murderers cut something. So I delved away all my fetch lands, and then I got Oblivion Sword, and he got 6 lands.
Oh.
It's
that's nice. Pretty good.
All right. Well, and it was definitely Wood of Foothills, Windswept Teeth, and Flooded Strand, and he was playing white-green, so he just had options.
Yeah. That's pretty awesome.
I do think going into this Pro Tour, I think there is this kind of... It feels like just a void in Standard, and you have all these Eldrazi cards that are just waiting to see play, and that just really haven't seen play yet.
Yeah, like Void Winnower. There's your Void, buddy.
Sure. But I know Patrick Chapin's talked a lot about just the Eldrazi cards and the Scions and different ways to use ingest and things like that. And that's interesting. I don't know if they're necessarily good enough, but it feels like something is there, and we'll see what happens.
Why is Patrick Chip being the enemy, colluding with the enemy, trying to talk up these Eldrazi cards? Oh God! Stop making that noise.
What was that?
I'm sorry, listeners, that had that, because I'm wearing headphones while recording, so I know how that sounds, and I'm sorry.
That's horrifying.
That's the writhing of the Eldrazi. We actually discussed this week.
That is correct. That's what they sound like, to our best of our knowledge.
Your opponent casts Swarm Surge, and all you hear is.
Yep.
Oh, and then and then you're dead.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's how it happens. Anyway. Well, that was a fun segment. Sorry, it ended weird. Sorry, it got weird at the end.
There's still time to do the tiebreaker.
No,
I already won. Like, go away.
There's no tie to break.
Is there anything I can't win?
All right, I'm gonna rename it right now. We'll call it the bonus question.
Whoa, that seems like it would need like a meeting and maybe a written out addendum.
So let's move on to the wrap up here.
Thank you. All right. So this weekend we obviously have the Pro Tour that'll be on. It'll start Friday and then continue Saturday into Sunday with the finals. And then we also have states. So you should have states locally where you are. In Ohio, it's hosted by Comic Town, and there's an event for it on Facebook. So look it up via Comic Town's Facebook page, Comic Town Gaming Center. Please attend. It's Saturday for standard, Monday.
Don't
Sunday.
show up on Monday.
Don't show up on Monday. Sunday for modern. It's kind of in the air whether we're going to be attending or not. I don't know.
I'll be there at least one of the days.
Yeah, I think maybe me too. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
So I'll be playing in modern.
For sure.
Fun fact, the hotel that this is going to be held at is probably a 5-minute drive from my house. I could probably walk there if I wanted to,
It's probably
which
like
is cool.
10-minute drive from my house then, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah, so pretty nice. Definitely looking forward to playing some modern, playing some more Blue-Red Humans.
Nice.
So it'll be fun.
Yeah, if I do play, it'll be Sunday. But I'm still up in the air whether I want to go to it or not. And I think that is everything tournament-wise going on this week. Of course, you can, keep in contact with us and see how we are doing in the tournament by following us on Twitter. You can follow the podcast at Your End Step, so at symbol Your End Step. Also, you can follow us on Facebook. You can look for at Your End Step on Facebook and like our page. Also, we have an email address at yourendstep@gmail.com. And if you want to, there's also plenty of ways for you guys to follow the cast. You can subscribe to us on iTunes. You can download us from MTG Cast. We also have a website where it gets posted, which is just at yourendstep.com. Also check out our sponsor, Comic Town Gaming Center on Facebook. Definitely plenty of ways to interact with us and everything like that. But that's pretty much it for this week. We'll catch you guys next time. You have a great one. Bye.